Okay, there we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual service that is being presented this morning by the Ukiah Center for Spiritual Living. I am Reverend Dr. Candice Becket, and I am the minister currently for this center, and I want to welcome you and let you know that it is with great joy and great honor that we receive you here today, knowing that you also have things of value to present and to share, whether that is just within your own consciousness, or if you actually, when appropriate, want to speak to things that you have to share with our community. But what I mostly want to know is that your soul is welcome here, your heart is welcome here, you are welcomed here. And I know that somewhere in this service today, whether it's in the treatment, the music, the message, that you will receive the good that you have been seeking. For it is here, it is already within you. And this is just one of the avenues in which we can help bring it forward. So just sit back and relax, and we'll begin our service. And today, our opening treatment will be given by Gail Rhodes. So Gail?
Good morning, all. So, take a nice breath. Close your eyes if that makes you feel comfortable, and just feel centered in the presence of the One. There is only one thing, and that thing is God. It is peace, joy, health, beauty, prosperity, love, mostly love. And as we open ourselves more and more to that this morning with all of the beautiful music and the inspirational words from Dr. Becket, we take it in, it circulates, and we send it back out, and we share it with everyone we come into contact with, and indeed, everyone that even comes into our consciousness. And it is that divine circulation that we bask in here this morning, that we claim, that we are actually courting here this morning, whether we knew it or not. And for that, I am grateful. For that makes each and every being on this planet, and indeed the planet itself, moves forward in that love, beauty, kindness, joy, laughter. So as we move through our world after this service, excuse me, as we perhaps take a walk in this beautiful sunshine, and we'll really feel that divine circulation that we have courted here this morning. There might be a slight bigger spring in your step, or when you greet a neighbor, you might see them differently. And you most probably see yourself differently, because that divine energy is full and blooming just like the flowers this morning. So as we release this into the divine mind, we know that it already is taking effect. And for that, we are grateful. We let it go. We know it is so. And so it is.
Thank you, Gail. That was really beautiful.
You're welcome.
And so now we're going to have some special music by David Smith. So David? David, you need to unmute yourself.
Sound test.
There you go.
Okay.
No.
Every instrument has a natural key that it likes to be in, and for a piano, that's the key of C. So I thought I'd start there today.
Yay, thank you. That was lovely. Good for you. And uh, that is, we're going to be hearing all of that from David today. Thank you, David. And you can go rest now. So again, welcome to our service. I'm delighted that you are here. I'm delighted that I'm here. And so I want to begin by giving you my topic. My topic today is redefining me. So you can just take that in as redefining yourself. And there's this question that came up for me this week because I think a lot of you already know I'm very, very, very busy running around doing things right now in my life. And it's a schedule that I'm not going to be having forever, but right now it's complicated and it's very fast paced. And I continue to sort of drop balls and kind of go, where'd that go? And try to grab it as it bounces. And anyway, so I'm busy and I know lots of you are too. So this may not sound uniquely about me, but you're going to see yourself in this talk also. But somewhere around Tuesday morning, I had this insight, but it started with this question: why doesn't the world consistently treat me with respect and love? Why doesn't the world consistently treat me with respect and love? So here's kind of what happened. On Monday morning, I was sitting in my office, which is this room, waiting for my 10 o'clock client to come online. And so I was just waiting and waiting. And pretty soon it's 10:15 and she hasn't arrived. But about 10:16, it comes on and she is full of apologies. And I just smiled at her and I said, yeah, it really is okay with me. I'm fine. So there's no need for you to concern yourself. And she got it. So I let go, she let go, and we got on with the session and we got on with our day. So it was fine. The next day, it's Tuesday, and I had some fairly early morning running around to do, and I had an appointment back here in my office uh, at 9 o'clock. But I was running late. So I'm pulling to my parking space out on the street and I'm hustling down to get into the office. And I realized that when I was getting out of the car, I was already 5 minutes late. So I get in, I get set up, I turn on my computer, and that person that I'm talking to on Tuesday is waiting for me. So now today or Tuesday, I am full of apologies. And again, it was a woman and she smiles and she says it's really okay with her that she hadn't, she knew I was busy and it was fine, not a problem. So don't concern myself any longer. So she lets go. I, on the other hand, continued on with the meeting with her. But as soon as it was over, I was mentally berating myself for being so inconsiderate and so disorganized. And it was kind of this moment in the middle of all of that, yelling at myself. I I had a flash, and it's a Bible quote. And what the Bible instructs us to do is to love. It says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Most of you have heard that, know that, maybe even try to live by it. But love your neighbor as yourself. Yet in that moment on Tuesday morning, I got this really clear moment that my neighbors probably don't want me to treat them as I treat myself. They wouldn't appreciate it at all if I was telling them that they were bad and lazy and disorganized and all those other things. So the treatment I give myself, do I want to give that to my neighbors? But here's the deal. True to its nature, the universal presence, the divine intelligence that permeates, creates, and runs through everything all the time, that nature, that universe is continually reflecting my inner world back as my outer world. So on Monday, the world showed me one version of myself, and on Tuesday, it showed me another. So to answer my question, why doesn't the world consistently treat me with respect and love? I think the answer to that is it seems inconsistent, but it's not the world, it's me. More to the point, it's not about treating my neighbor with less tolerance, but instead becoming more conscious and treating myself with greater love and greater compassion. I'm pretty good at treating my neighbors with love and compassion. I'm not very good at doing it for myself. So why is it so hard to love, especially ourselves? So I watched a TEDx talk uh, last week, and I went looking for it because the person who was presenting, her name is Cynthia James, and um, Cynthia, I've known for several years, and I'm just as a colleague, but she was the assistant minister at Mile High for a number of years, and she was actually being groomed for when Roger, the senior minister there, when he retired. But there was still a lot of years before that was going to happen. And one day, Cynthia said, she goes, it felt like a flash. She goes, but I knew it was building for a long time. And what happened was she became so clear, because we know that the universe doesn't, if there's something we're being called to do, that call gets louder, not quieter. And so after she tried to refuse it and say no to it a million times, she realized that her destiny, I guess we'll use that for this, her destiny was not to become the senior minister of Mile High. And for those of you who don't know, Mile High is the largest center for spiritual living in the world. It has thousands and thousands and thousands of members. So what she was being called to do was to reach out and become like a life coach. And I remember hearing her talk about this years ago, and just like me thinking, is she crazy? What is she doing? She's throwing away this great opportunity. But in her talk, she began to stress how many of us are given lessons that concern the treatment that we give ourselves and the treatment that we give others. And what I loved about this talk was that she decided to respect herself, love herself, and she thought about, what would I be saying to a client? And she started to do that. So she has left the pulpit, I guess, and instead is doing this amazing work where she's written some books and she does these amazing seminars and stuff. And now she's on TED Talks. So I'm like, you go, Cynthia. But I loved her talk, and it really did help me this week. It's like, why do I treat myself differently than how I would encourage people to treat others and to treat themselves? So back to Cynthia, part of what she talked about was, what are our expectations around how we should treat others and how we should treat ourselves, and particularly the ones about ourselves. She says those come probably from our very earliest years, and these lessons were given to us by completely well-meaning, often loving people, like our parents, our grandparents, our teachers. And the lessons were meant to protect us, but unintentionally, some of those lessons set us up for consciousness of victimhood. So these are the lessons like know your place, don't reach above your station, and I'm sure you can fill in 20 more. But Cynthia stressed that when we were given those lessons, that the most important thing to do is to be aware of them and to listen for them as they come up. She also talked about that everybody has a story, and so the lessons that they teach are based on their story. The important thing to remember is that's not our story. And it's often not even the truth of their story. It's just a story. So what we need to remember, again, are that these people were doing the very best that they could. But their thoughts, their stories are not ours. Cynthia gave 3 things to do to help us to rewrite our story, to rewrite how we want to be perceived or projected into the world. So the first one was create healthy thinking. Now, in her talk, she talked a little bit about neural pathways, and I'm not going to kind of get into the science of that. But the cool thing about creating healthy thinking is that we are starting to see that science is even backing us up. That positive thinking is a pretty big deal in your process in keeping yourself healthy. The second thing that she said to help rewrite your story is to examine and revise negative self-talk. And the third is to make radical self-care a priority. So I'm going to back up and we're going to go over that first one just a little bit. So the first one, again, is create healthy thinking. And a big deal of what she was talking about was thinking matters. So think about what you're thinking about. Is that what you want to be thinking about? Is that where you want your power to be? Because what you think about, you are lending your power, your creative power to. And so we know that as new thought practitioners, we know that positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. But now, like I said a minute ago, science now proves that positive thinking creates positive neural pathways, and that when you have positive neural pathways, you get this sense of well-being. And it's not pretend, it's not pseudo, it's real. The opposite is also real. If you're having negative thinking, then you're setting up negative neural pathways and you don't feel good. You feel sad, you feel depressed. So it's very important to begin to perceive what I'm thinking about and to make it different, to go ahead, catch yourself in those moments and change your thought. And it can be as simple as, well, that might have been true yesterday, but today I'm ready for fill in a positive idea. What I can tell you is that changing your thinking doesn't often change the thing, the situation, the other person, but what it does change is your experience. And that changes everything. So it's time to start looking at anything that is bothersome with a new lens. Figure out why it has come, what it's here to teach you. If it's not here to teach you, then absolutely go, okay, we're done. Thank you for the memories and let it go. So I want to move on to the second thing, which is examine and revise negative self-talk. Because of all those negative, repetitive thoughts that we have, lots of them are self-talk. So here's what Cynthia says. The second you catch yourself in negative self-talk, you need to immediately revise that inner dialogue, that moment that you're aware of it. And then let a new thought become your new mantra. So ideally, it would, well, let me back up. Ideally, we would have all been raised in a community, in a world that adored and cherished us and clearly taught that the world loves and appreciates you. Unfortunately, that's not actually how most of us were raised. So, and even if we had great parents, there were other influences. So most of us, the path to seeking fulfillment and appreciation lead us to look outside of ourselves for love and validation. So here's the new message. Love doesn't come from outside. It starts within you and it moves and then it reflects back, but that has to start here. David McNair writes, what Jesus knew was that we cannot ever fully love others until we first love ourselves. It becomes so important that we become a friend to ourselves. Practicing kindness for others, consideration, and patience is wonderful. The practice of patience, kindness, and consideration for ourselves, I think we forget. So do something special. This was, Cynthia's idea was do something special for yourself that says, I love myself today. And whether that's, going for a walk or, just going outside and taking a deep breath of fresh air. But do something for yourself that says, and then just repeat your new mantra. I love myself. I love myself right here and right now, or whatever your new mantra is. Okay, so the third one, which is make radical self-care a priority. I love that, radical self-care a priority. This one's a little trickier. Often we have been taught, again, by those well-meaning parents, et cetera, that caring for ourselves is selfish, self-indulgent, but in reality, it is actually self-preservation. If you are not taking good care of yourself, start today. I know for me, when I was considering this, I go, but I'm so busy. When am I going to have time to do something for myself? But it's amazing because sometimes it is only, take a walk around the block, 10 minutes, and I feel better. But to start to look at what are the small things I can do for myself throughout the day. And it might not seem radical, but it is. Because if you're not doing it at all, to go ahead and take a couple of minutes seems hard. But it's time. So Cynthia talked about how many of our negative behaviors, addictions, such as addiction to food, whether that's eating disorders, overweight, whatever, alcohol, drugs, sex, anything. The list kind of goes on and on. That most of those behaviors, and even some that aren't as dangerous to our health, probably, but there are other dangerous or negative behaviors, such as boredom. And that they are primarily because we don't know how to love and honor ourselves. You wouldn't be bored if you were loving and honoring yourself. You wouldn't be going to the refrigerator, going to the, you wouldn't be going anywhere for other approval if you loved and you honored yourself, if you felt like you were doing a good job. So the question for the day becomes, how do I love myself selflessly, unconditionally, with compassion and sensitivity? And so Cynthia gave us a list for that too. She said, to love and honor yourself, you can do things such as buy yourself flowers, exercise program, quiet your mind. Now, for us, I'm not sure she used the word meditation, but she was doing a TED talk, so she might not have. But things like meditation to quiet our minds. And I have a couple of people in my life right now that are re-looking at meditation, and they never felt like they were very good at it. And they're, I can hear that, well, it hasn't worked before, but I've got to give it a shot. It's like, just give it a shot, and don't make it that you have to do it for 20 minutes. Do it for 2 minutes, just counting your breaths. That will quiet your mind significantly. I also went to, this is a little plug for Deepak Chopra, has a new free meditation. I think it's 30 days. It started, but they're okay with you going in late. You just do your days. It's amazing. I've done several of them, and so look into that. The last thing, so that's 3: buy flowers, exercise, quiet your mind. Oh, and the last one was positive input. So kind of what you're doing right now, this is considered positive input. It's coming and hearing, having put into your head things that are of a positive nature. So that could be talks, that could be podcasts, that can be great music that makes you want to dance or sing. So, but those are the 4 things that she suggested to help us get started in starting to honor and love ourselves more. So here's some of what I'm doing. So first thing in the morning, and this started 2 days ago. First thing in the morning, the first thing I do, actually before I get out of bed, I allow myself to become aware of who and what I truly am. And that's a really nice exercise. It's just affirming the truth about myself, that I'm here to be the conduit for the divine. And then as part of that practice, because like most of us, my first stop in the morning is the bathroom. And so I look into the mirror and I do my best to recognize God looking back at me. So, and another thing I've been doing or trying to do for a few days is listening deeply to what my heart is trying to make known. It's yearning to make known to me, to begin to hear that message. And instead of go, oh no, that's not for me, go, oh, that's my message for the day. Where do I apply it? And then to go and seek the place to apply that message. Another thing I'm doing is in every situation, while being considerate and in harmony with others, I check that that self-love is also being felt. And this comes from, for me, from lots of times sacrificing my own needs for the needs of another. And it's like, it shouldn't be a sacrifice. I should be able to do what they need and lift myself up, or it's not real. So check into that. I mean, like I said, I'm new working with this one, but consider while being considerate and offering harmony and help to others, check in with my level of self-love. What's happening in there? What I can report though is I often feel great when I'm doing something for another. So it's pretty good. And the last thing is to give thanks for being the clear and direct channel for love. So that's been my affirmation, is I give thanks for being the clear and direct channel for love today. And I didn't read this. I'm actually doing Tesseraconta now with Karen Kushner. And I think it was a couple of days ago, but one of the things she referred to a passage from Emma Curtis Hopkins, in which Emma says, anything you repeat 15 times So her number is 15, a lot less than 70. she, you know, she said anything you repeat 15 times like opens the gate. So it's a cool thing. So find your affirmation for the day. Say it 15 times while you're walking around the block or buying your flowers or whatever. It's great. Okay. So in the book of Matthew, Jesus says, "You are a light, you are the light of the world. Don't hide your light. Let it shine that others will see." So your past, my past, does not define who we are. In fact, there is a power within us that can change, well, everything. It's never too late. Start now. And as we begin to treat ourselves in this manner, watch your world, my world, begin to conform to that consistent higher image. And as it starts here, it flows out. And ultimately, there will be a world that works for everyone. So take a deep breath with me. So I'm going to do our closing treatment, and I will be giving this treatment in the first person. So just know these words of truth for yourself as they are spoken. And I begin with a quote from Dr. Holmes from The Science of Mind. And he says, "As we bring ourselves to a greater vision, we induce a greater concept and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. In this way, there is a continuous growth and unfoldment taking place within us all." So, what I know right now is that God is the infinite intelligence, the divine love, and the creative opportunity manifesting in, through, and as all that is creation. This beloved presence is my very life. And I delight in its perfect flow through my mind, my heart, and my experience. I am the intelligence. I am the love. I am the ever expanding opportunity to live from a clear vision of a world that works for everyone. Each of us expresses that divine life in beautiful and unique ways, all open to infinite possibilities for ourselves, our beloved community, and for the world itself. Spirit is alive within each of us, lifting our vision beyond any form of limitation to complete freedom as we co-create this wonderful story that is constructive, that is harmonious, joyous living. I know that everything is possible in this alignment with the divine. Barriers dissolve, and the way is made clear for the manifestation of healthy individuals, a healthy planet, and a wise and compassionate humanity. And as we move from the season of winter to spring, we are also moving dynamically from all the ideas that may have held us back, kept us confined, restricted in any way, into the celebration of delight and renewal. A new vision filled with divine wisdom and spiritual energy now lights the way for the graceful expression of individual and planetary evolution. The underlying harmony of the universe nurtures, guides, and supports all in this heavenly process. And our success is assured. Deeply grateful for the truth that sets us free and keeps us free. Together, we release all old limiting beliefs and instead embody the new conscious concept of a new life, a new story for ourselves and for all other beings everywhere. We confidently release this word to the perfect mind of law, knowing that it is acted on, that it is right now coming into being, and all is well. So I let this be so, and so it is. Well, okay there. Now is the time that we talk about how the church continues to support itself, and that is through our offering. So every week we like to affirm the greatness of the flow of abundance through our center. And I also want to remind you, because there's no basket being passed from house to house, but what we do invite you to do is to, if you can, to make a donation, a contribution to the center. And there's a couple of ways you can always just write a check and mail it in. Gail will be more than happy to receive your check at the office, at the church office. You can also go to our webpage, which is cslucaya.org, and there's a donate button. It's a PayPal button, and you can do that. My actual favorite way to do this is I have made the center pay somebody I pay online with my bank. So if you can do that, that would be great. And I just know that it is with you that we are able to continue on. And we are looking closer and closer for, being able to meet again at the center. So we want to make sure everything's up and ready for us. So, okay. So I have put up the offering affirmation. So if you would like to repeat that with me right now together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies this gift. With all my heart and with all my mind, I know I am saying yes to something I value. With all others present here, we dedicate these gifts to the values and vision we share. Right, so I do have a couple of announcements. The first being that we are still collecting for building bridges, and Teresa Staber is willing to collect things, so you can get a hold of Teresa. Her phone number is I think her phone number is in the newsletter that we sent out. I haven't read that part in a while, but you can get a hold of her and drop it off at her house. There's another woman, Judy Morgan, who actually is one of the directors of Building Bridges, and she's willing to let you just drop things off on her porch, or you can go directly to Building Bridges on State Street. And if you call in, someone will come out and unload whatever you have. And mostly these are things like paper products, from paper cups, paper towels, napkins, but little bottles of, shampoo, anything like that. socks, you pretty much name it, they'll probably take it. And you could call ahead if you have something and you're not sure, because this is, just the overnight shelter for them. It's not somewhere they stay all the time. Anyway, take a look, and if you can contribute to them, that would be great. All right, so next announcement, you've been hearing for the last couple of weeks about Kit Holmes. Kit is a senior in ministerial training for CSL, for Centers for Spiritual Living. She graduates, I think, in May. And right now she's working on a graduation requirement, which is to do a practicum for an existing center. So she's doing it for us. And what she's been busy doing is compiling a list of speakers that will be speaking here. And so what we decided was we wanted her to book every other Sunday for, well, there's 4 speakers and they're booked. So next week you'll be hearing somebody. I mean, I'll be here, introducing people and stuff, but next week will be our first guest speaker. And Kit's and I have an appointment this afternoon, and she'll be giving me bios on all these people and their topics, things like that. I also want you to know that she is also providing us not just these 4 names, but other seniors who are willing to speak at the center. And as a lot of you know, since we are looking for a new minister to take over and run the Ukiah Center, one of these people could be it. Now, some of these people may already have plans, but some of them don't. And sometimes plans change. So hopefully everyone will do their best to hear all these speakers. And as soon as I have the list, I will post that in the newsletter, who's speaking when. I think that one of them is in San Diego. 2 of them are learning out of Denver, and one of them is learning out of the campus in Florida. So I'm excited. Anyway, we also talked to, I don't know if I brought this up last week. We did talk about it with the board, but we are looking at steps towards reopening. And so I'm not really quite sure exactly all the steps we're going to need to take. So I'm truly reaching out for help. Mostly what the biggest thing for us is to be able to do both once we're back in the center, to also still be able to live stream. Because live streaming for me right now is I just have my little laptop here and away we go. But the center doesn't have any equipment like that. So we need to look at what are the possibilities, and so that we don't leave anybody out. Because as you know, we do get people that are not in the Ukiah Valley that are out a bit, and we want to be able to still have them be a part of our congregation. So that's it as far as announcements. Now, I want to, again, thank all of you for being here today. We're not going to have closing music because I told David he could go lay down. But I just want to again thank you so much, all of you, for being here, being a part of my day. It's a terrific way for me to start my day. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you next week. So, namaste.